Hi Abby, I hear you got some big plans coming up. I can't believe that you're ready to go on an overnight trip to another city so soon after your injury. Is this your senior class trip?
Yeah.
Guys are hard to miss. You sure wouldn't want to do that. I hear you're going to Washington, D.C., and I happen to know they have excellent public transportation for people who use wheelchairs. And you know, when you've got this power wheelchair, one of the good things about it was that it's already got the 4 securement points on it that are needed for 4-point tie down in a public transportation vehicle. How much, you're driving back and forth between your home and the hospital almost every day right now, aren't you? Yeah, how's outpatient therapy going?
Good.
Good. It's amazing how much progress you've made.
Yeah.
Tell me about how you usually travel. Tell me how you usually travel. Do you travel seated in your wheelchair when you come down for outpatient therapy?
Yeah, our van has four tie downs, and it just hooks up on each corner of my wheelchair, and I sit in my wheelchair while we come down for therapy.
Can I ask if your van is also set up so that you have a lap and a shoulder belt?
No, because this is like my seat belt, this is my chest strap, and then I have a regular seat belt, so.
Probably you didn't know and nobody's told you that those really aren't sturdy enough for use in transportation. They're not crash tested.
Yeah.
And when you are traveling in a minivan, you're at risk for the highest kind of crash load. So it could be that as time goes on, you'll want to take a look at getting a lap shoulder belt installed so that it comes from the wall of the minivan over to where you are. Is the place where you ride in your minivan in the front passenger position, or is it in the middle of the minivan behind the driver?
We have it set up to where we can take out the passenger seat if we want, or I can sit in the middle of the van.
Okay, so where do you usually sit?
Right now I'm sitting in the passenger seat. Just
Okay.
'cause it's easier to hook up that way, and so I can do pressure reliefs.
Okay, that's good. That's important too. So are you using you're not using the lap shoulder belt from the minivan then? It's possible if you check in with a van modifier for them to do a modification to a wheelchair, a seatbelt receptacle so that it comes up tall, and it would be something that would be up here, and you could just bring the lap shoulder belt over and put it in right there. I don't think that would cost very much money, and it would make you a lot safer when you're traveling with your family. Okay, well what I have here at the hospital is a training platform, and we can I want to show you what a bus driver should do for you when you go to Washington and you have an opportunity to travel on the public transit there. It's probably a lot like what you do in your personally owned minivan, but it's also different because it's meant to fit everybody who comes into the bus or the subway, not just you, the way your family minivan is set up.
Cool.
What do you think about that? Okay. Then I want you to be able to travel and have a full life ahead of you, and I also want you to be safe so you can have even more adventures in life. So,
Yeah.
okay, great. Kinds of buses that are in towns first. And when Ashley gives us a signal, we'll get started on that part.
Go ahead.
All right, I have, our training platform here is not perfect. It's not like a bus. We have to add and subtract these. On a city bus, they're actually there all the time, but they're tucked away under a seat that flips up. So when passengers who are riding in the bus see someone using a wheelchair coming up onto the bus, they all get up and move to another seat so that that seat can flip up and expose the wheelchair securement station. Every bus has 2 securement stations on it, so there shouldn't be too many situations where there's no place for you to ride. Okay. In typical older buses, the buses all had lifts that raised you up to a bus floor that was high. Today, most buses have low floor buses, so they only need to shoot out a ramp. And this is the proper angle for the ramp. It is, the bus driver is supposed to pull up close enough to the sidewalk and deploy the ramp onto the top of the curb So as he kneels the front wheels of the bus and has this ramp on the curb, it should all be just the same height. With your front wheel drive chair, I know. Abby, this is the way the ramp should look for a low floor bus. The bus driver is supposed to pull up close enough to the curb that the ramp will come out and land on the top of the curb. That way you don't have to worry about not having a curb cut, okay? Then he's also supposed to kneel the front of the bus, and he lowers the bus front wheels for about 4 or 5 inches, and that makes a ramp of this steepness. So that's what he's supposed to do. It could be steeper if he doesn't do it the right way, or she, if they don't do it the right way. It just makes it a little bit more difficult. The ramp has a ledge on the side of it, and you can see what the track is here. So go ahead and pull on up here. Okay, very good. And what you learn after a while is where is the proper place for you to be between the 4 securement points. Okay, so our goal is going to be to bring this S-hook up to your wheelchair and attach it to one of the anchor points that's already on your wheelchair. Okay? But I have to do the same in the back. What I notice is that your chair is very long for this securement station.
Yeah.
So it's not the usual situation. The other thing I have to do in your situation here is that in order for me to make a place for you to ride up the ramp and then onto the platform, I had to take off the rear securement points. So I'm going to go hook those on the floor behind your chair. These are very easy to put on and off. They just slide onto a round fitting that's on the floor. This is what you might use in a personally owned minivan.
Yeah.
Okay? Abby, can you pull forward another 3 inches maybe? There you go. A little more? Good. All right. And let me put the other securement point on. The other anchor point on. Sorry. Okay. So, what you can't see right now and appreciate is the fact that the 2 securement points behind you, the 2 securement straps behind you, come straight forward and attach onto your wheelchair. Okay, so I'm going to bring them from the floor straight up to the rear securement points on your wheelchair. Okay, and it properly tensions itself automatically. I'm coming around to do the other one. With wheelchair securement for transportation, the issue is to think about attaching the wheelchair to the floor of the vehicle first, and then to come back and take care of you as the occupant. We want the wheelchair to stop and be a stable seat in your vehicle, and then we want to keep you in that stable seat so that you don't fly forward and hit something inside the bus.
That'd be bad.
Okay, so I'm picking up on the lever here, which lets this automatically come out.
Whenever you're ready. It's recording.
So I'm releasing the tension on this front anchor point, and I'm coming down and I'm attaching the hook into the frame, the securement point that's on part of the frame of your wheelchair. So the 2 straps behind you are straight on, and the 2 straps in front of you are out to an angle. What do you think the advantage of having them out to an angle is?
So I don't slide.
It helps to make the chair a little more stable, because oftentimes what happens in a bus is the driver has to stop suddenly or has to make a swerve to avoid somebody who steps out. So it's those swerves that can actually cause a chair to be rocky and tippy. Now your chair is very heavy and I expect it to be quite stable, but these anchored out to the front angle like this will help a great deal. So with these properly tensioned and added to the points of your chair that are designed for that purpose, you're ready to go.
Cool.
Okay, so let's talk about getting you secured in your wheelchair. Okay, and I'll add the other one up front here. So see how this little thing is on the top of this?
Yeah.
It's called a pin bushing. And you've got that in the back of your chair too. This one would have been very awkward to try and do on the camera. Hopefully that won't be an obvious absence. Okay. So, whenever you're ready, Ashley.
I never stopped.
You never stopped? Okay. So the next thing to do, Abby, is make sure you stay in this wheelchair, which has already been crash tested and designed for you to be using it as a seat in a motor vehicle. There's an item here on the front of this seat belt called a pin bushing. I never knew what a pin bushing was, but it's like a little mushroom, very strong. And I'm going to put the pin bushing on this side of you because I know that the lap shoulder belt needs to come over this shoulder. If you were on a bus and you were getting on the other side of the bus, if you were riding on that side of the aisle, you want to do your belt from the opposite corner.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a thought here and I can't think of what it is. Okay. All right. Oh, I know. One of the things that's really nice about your wheelchair is that it's designed with these arms. So it means that the lap shoulder belt can be snug against your pelvis. And that's the best way to keep you safe. So the seat belt should be low and tight across your abdomen. It's now going to go past you and through the back of your chair, and it's going to attach onto a pin bushing that's back here on the wheelchair securement point behind you.
Okay.
All right? The one thing about, an important thing to remember about occupant securement is, at least in a public transit vehicle, is that you can't do it yourself. So that's why you are dependent upon the bus driver or a family member or one of your friends from school to help you get the belt on if it's not properly done. So here we have the securement, the pin bushing ended up in the front here. There you go, and I just snugged it down on you. And then from the next part, oops. The next part of this is actually pretty easy because all I have to do is come over your shoulder, across your breastbone, and then I simply click this onto your seatbelt, to the pin bushing on your seatbelt. Now it's not in the right place. What should I do?
Go.
Blooper. So the next part of this, Abby, is to come from the wall of the bus, where there's a height adjustable anchor point on the wall of the bus, across your collarbone here, and across your breastbone, or your sternum, and then clip onto this pin bushing that's on the front of you here. And there should be a nice little solid click as that comes together. Okay? So this is how it should feel when you're properly secured in the bus. This means that you, in a bus, you will be a very well protected passenger. And you won't go flying, nor will your wheelchair bump into others. So it looks like a lot, but you have to remember that the bus driver is more experienced with doing this, and they should be able to help you. And you have a very easy wheelchair to fit and to adjust for wheelchair transportation.
Cool. Sounds good.
Do you have any questions for me? Well, I just know that when you get your own vehicle someday and you start to drive, that you'll be aware enough about wheelchair transportation safety that you'll be able to work with somebody who will help you modify a van and be able to drive independently.
Yeah.
It'll be the key to many good things in your life.
Yeah.